Quitting weed is tough. And if you don't do it correctly and you make some of these mistakes I'm about to share, you will likely fail. And there's so many mistakes I see people make when it comes to quitting weed. And today I'm going to share 5 that I think you need to avoid. The first one is not changing your friend group. Remember, your environment can create a false sense of normalcy. So if you're only spending time with people that are getting high, doing drugs, etc., you're going to likely think that behavior is normal, and it's going to disempower you from wanting to make a change. Also, when you spend time with people that are getting high all the time, you may or may not end up doing the same. So if you're somebody that's trying to quit, it's best to avoid people that are still getting high. You want to try to surround yourself with people that have common futures and not common pasts. You want to stay away from the people that you've been getting high with, you've been partying with, etc. It's not to say that these people are bad. It's just that they're not in alignment with where you're going and what your goals are, etc. And when you quit weed, cravings can be super tough. And when you're spending time with people around you that are getting high, etc., it can make them that much worse. Plus, when people are like, hey, why aren't you getting high? You sure you don't want to hit? The temptation can be real. So it's best, at least for a period of time, to stay away completely from anybody that's getting high. And along those same lines, you want to find some support, because one of the toughest things that people battle when quitting weed is finding new friends. I know I did. I know so many people who have quit weed. That's what they struggle with, is how do I make new friends that aren't getting high? Well, the first thing you can do is join some sort of support group. I know back in the day, people felt ashamed of having to go to things like NA or AA for weed. But now it's become so mainstream. There's so many people that are struggling with it. It's not as bad to go to a meeting and just admit that you have a problem or whatever, and then try to make new friends and find support in that way. You can also find support through different online forums and support groups. There's plenty of communities and resources available where you can find support and try to find people that can help come alongside of you throughout this journey. You can also hire a therapist, which I think would be really good to get some medical attention to help you deal with some of the problems that weed has caused in your life, or some of the problems that allowed you to get addicted to weed, or whatever the case may be. Again, you got to find a support group that works for you, but it's incredibly important to do so, because if you don't, you'll end up feeling lonely, depressed, lost, etc., and it'll make the recovery process that much more challenging. So find support. And they also have like cannabis specific recovery groups that you can look into as well. If you're somebody that doesn't want to go to a traditional 12-step meeting and you want to focus just with people that have cannabis or weed addiction. And then when you go to these meetings, obviously it's a great place to meet new people as well as work on yourself. The second big mistake that I see people make is putting unrealistic timelines on their recovery and when they're going to feel better. I just had a conversation with somebody that shocked me a few weeks ago, and we were talking about how long does it take to feel normal. This is a neuroscientist who studies cannabis. I asked, how long does it take to feel normal again after you quit weed? And I was surprised to learn that it can take like 6 months sometimes or more for people to feel normal, depending on how much THC they're consuming or have been consuming on a daily basis. I was shocked, because back in the day when I was getting high and smoking weed, it was typically like a month or two and you started to feel kind of like yourself again. Again, it took time for the brain to heal, etc., but it wasn't like a 6-month thing like it is today. And I think it's because there's just so much THC in today's stuff that it makes it that much more challenging to feel normal again. With that being said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. You're going to be into it a week or 2, 3 weeks, and you're still going to not maybe feel like yourself. And you're going to say things like, why do I feel the same way I did before? This isn't working. This isn't worth it. Why aren't I feeling better yet? And just understand that those thoughts are normal. And the realistic approach is to say, you know what? Like, I know the habits I need to change. I know that I need to stop spending time with certain people. I know that I need to exercise and move my body, which we'll get to in a minute. I know I need to join a support group and go regularly. I know I need some accountability in my life. I know I needed to maybe change the way that I eat. I need to change some of my habits throughout the day. And then if I do these things consistently over time, that I will feel better. but everybody's body and brain, I think, probably responds differently. So you don't want to put unrealistic timelines on things. I remember when I was locked up and I was in jail, I was blessed to have my cellmate help change my life. And I remember I was asking him how long it would take for me to make this health transformation that I wanted to make when I was behind bars. I remember him saying something to me that really changed my life. And he said to me, "How long have you been beating your body up?" And I said, "A long time." He's like, "Doug, it's going to take a long time for you to transform yourself." And I remember just hearing that and being like, man, he's right. Like I can't expect these things to happen overnight. And I think the hard thing with weed addiction or any other substance addiction is it teaches you to not get good at delaying gratification. It teaches you to be addicted to instant gratification, to be feeling good in the moment, to not wanting to wait, to not wanting to delay gratification and wait to feel good in a way that's healthy. It forces you to get rid of discomfort in a way that's just not healthy. And so when you're trying to quit and give up something like weed and you put an unrealistic time frame on it, it makes you more likely to want to go back and start doing the thing again, because you can't delay gratification. So you have to get good at delaying gratification and understanding that it's going to take some time to feel better again, but you will if you do the right things. Putting timelines on it will only make things worse for you. So you have to be realistic. Now, it's not to say that you can't set some goals, like in saying, hey, in 90 days, I want to feel X. In 6 months, I want to feel X. In a year, I want to feel X, or be at these places in my life, right? Because that will help motivate you, is developing a why, like understanding why you want to change in the first place. And then putting some time frames on those areas of your life and setting goals so you have something else to focus on other than just quitting the weed. But if you're like, but a lot of people I see, they're like a week into it, 2 weeks into it, and they're like, I still don't feel good. I still don't feel better. That's because it's going to take some time. And the third mistake I see people make all the time is they don't develop new healthy coping mechanisms. You know, a lot of times with addiction, it's a solution to emotional pain. I know it was for me. I started to smoke weed to solve a lot of emotional pain that was going on in my life. And then as a result, it created more emotional pain in my life down the road. And so when I stopped, when I was behind bars, I was lucky to have this cellmate that got me into fitness. And fitness became a really healthy coping strategy for me when I was in jail and then when I got out of jail. And then over time, I developed other healthy coping strategies, such as therapy, such as meditation, such as spending time with good people, such as finding purpose and meaning in life, and all those things. And so you have to find what works for you. I recommend fitness in whatever flavor you like, whether it's walking, whether it's lifting weights, yoga, Pilates, group exercise, whatever, because it keeps you forward focused. When you're quitting weed, it can be easy to feel like a failure and think about all the past mistakes you've made and maybe all the years or months you've wasted, all the people that you've hurt, all the money that you've spent, whatever the case may be. But when you work out, it keeps you focused and dialed in on the future. It allows you to set and achieve goals and to focus on like where you're going in your life, not necessarily where you were. And with that being said, the gym or going to a group exercise class or going to yoga or Pilates or whatever you choose to do is also a great way to meet new people that are focused on improving their lives as well, which is so important. Plus, you have to find these healthy coping strategies for when life gets challenging. I think one of the biggest misunderstandings is that when you give up weed, life gets way easier. And obviously, it'll get rid of some of the problems that your weed consumption has caused, but life will still have challenges. You're still going to get stressed. You're still going to get anxious. You're still going to feel down at times. Your brain is going to take some time to need to recalibrate itself. And exercise can be a great mechanism for recalibrating your brain, getting those feel-good endorphins going, for making you feel better about yourself and improving your confidence and your self-esteem, something we all know is so needed, especially during the early days of recovery. You have to find ways to improve your self-worth and the way that you feel about yourself. And movement can be a great tool for that. Now, obviously, outside of that, there's other healthy coping strategies that may work for you. And again, things like therapy, things like going out in nature, things like writing, journaling, reading books, listening to podcasts, etc., can also be, very therapeutic for people. And you have to find what works for you. But I think you have to to be quick to identify these things, because if you're not prepared, it's going to be tough in the moment to lean on these things. So schedule out time you're going to go to the gym or go for a walk with some of the new friends you've made, or to journal, etc. Like, make a plan and make sure that you stick to it. Find these healthy coping strategies. Not only will it help keep you in recovery from your weed addiction, but it'll also make you feel better about yourself that you found something healthy to deal with your problems instead of the weed that you've been using. Number 4 is trying to rationalize even smoking a little bit of weed. And I say that because if you're watching this video, you're likely addicted to weed, which means you should stop. So I think you getting away from rationalizing, oh, I'm just going to do a little bit, or I'm going to cut back my dose, or I'm going to cut back how much I smoke, or I'm going to cut back on the frequency, or whatever it is, like, that's got to stop, because obviously, it hasn't worked. If you're addicted to something and it's ruining your life, you have to do what you can to get rid of it. And again, like I said earlier, it's going to take some time, but don't rationalize it and think, oh, I can just smoke a little bit and get back to normal, because that typically does not work. And that's also why it's best to cut off your friends or set boundaries with the friends that you're getting high with. So it helps to alleviate some of the peer pressure that will come when they're saying, hey, it's just do a little bit, just do 1 hit, just do 2 hits, or whatever the case may be. If you're somebody that's addicted to something like weed, chances are you shouldn't be smoking it at all anymore. And I know it's tough. I know it's going to be challenging, but your life will be better without it long term. So if you can just embrace the suck in the short term and understand that it's going to be challenging, you won't need to rationalize in your mind the use for it anymore. Because typically when you're rationalizing the use for something, it's a big sign of you being addicted to it. You're just trying to reason with yourself because you can't let that part of you go, which is an unhealthy habit. So you have to find a way to completely cut it out of your life. And again, that's why it's important to change your habits and have these healthy coping mechanisms to kind of change your life with this. Because also remember, like, today's weed is not what it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's way more strong. So even like a little bit of weed, it can be dangerous, right? So it's just important to not rationalize that behavior. And I know sometimes it'll be tough because you can be around like old friends or experience cravings, which again, cravings and stuff will be normal, which is why it's important to have these tools in your arsenal, such as the gym, therapy, support groups, to help deal with that stuff. And again, when you cut out those friends, again, not saying that they're bad people, you won't have people in your ear being like, it's just 1 hit, it's just weed, where you can begin to then rationalize in your mind, just trying to do it regularly. Because again, if you're watching this video, chances are you're not able to use it normal. You're addicted. So it's best to just fully quit. The 5th mistake that I see people make is not giving yourself enough compassion. This journey is hard. It's challenging. It can take a village to complete because you need all this support and tools like I've been talking about. And it's so easy to beat yourself up and to be so hard on yourself when you're that person that has tried and tried again and hasn't been able to figure it out. So you have to give yourself compassion and grace and understand that the fact that you're even watching this video, wanting to better yourself, is a huge step and a huge positive, and you should feel good about yourself for doing so. There's so many people that walk through life and they have no self-awareness and they think they don't have any problems in their life. They think that they're perfect and that everything they're doing is the way it should be and it's not impacting anyone. And then they just go through life and they kind of coast without even understanding that, their habits are ruining their life and other people's lives along the way. So I think you have to give yourself compassion. I think you have to not be so hard on yourself, because if it were so easy to recover from addiction, everybody would do it, right? Like, no one loves being addicted to drugs. So it's just important to have some self-compassion, some grace, and to understand that as long as you just keep showing up, keep trying, like, that's what counts. Just keep going, keep moving forward, and just take it literally like one day at a time. Because, what I see a lot of people do is they're just so hard on themselves because, again, like, their life hasn't changed after a week, or they're like, here I am again, day 4, day 5, or I can't believe that I relapsed, whatever the case may be. And then that spirals, right, into more negative habits, more negative thoughts, and you create a worse outcome for your life because of the way you respond to that. And I think if you just have compassion and being like, you know what, like, yeah, I am upset with myself for, not being in recovery longer, for not making it this time or whatever. I also have compassion for myself because I know this journey is challenging and I'm doing whatever I can to make myself better. And I'm proud of myself for not giving up hope and to keep moving forward. Because I think if you live in the mindset of just constantly being hard on yourself and identifying as a failure and saying you're never going to make it, then the odds are you won't recover from weed addiction because your frame of mind is so warped. But again, if you just take things literally like one day at a time and say, okay, like I have compassion for myself and I'm proud of myself for taking this step. And with that said, I also have to do the right thing and stay away from certain people, change my habits, seek medical attention if necessary, go to therapy, figure out like what's going on in my life, and then build off of that. And then soon enough, you'd be surprised. Like if you do the right things every single day, day one turns into day two. Day two turns into day three. Then you look back and it's like, wow, I've got 2 weeks without weed. I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. Not perfect, but I'm a little bit better. And then it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And you just be surprised how much your life can change if you're just consistent with the right things. You're optimistic, you give yourself compassion, and you hold yourself accountable. So hopefully this video helped. These are 5 of the many mistakes that I see. Again, if you're somebody that is really struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help or seek medical attention. Again, this is my advice based on the mistakes that I've seen and stuff that I've experienced in my own life. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks again for your support.